Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started in just a few moments. So if you know something here or something, please, whatever, please feel free to grab it.
Did Judy say, did he talk with you about, like, is this a company? I'm going to walk. I stand. So I like it like this. Yeah. Good for you. Okay. Okay, so I've got, I do too. Should we go ahead and get started then?
Yes.
We should do, that's a really good question. He said don't touch something, so I don't know if it's on or not. Well, if that's the case, you know what I'm thinking too? I think the thing is probably better to put that might be pink, right? Because it drops it, yeah, it might affect the sound. And for all I know, this is all going to be recorded right now. There you go. So, okay, got it. Well, I tell you what, I think we should be fine to go ahead and get started. And I'll turn my attention. We'll just turn it on while we're going, okay? Okay, got it. Okay, great.
Good morning. It's 10:15, so we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. So first of all, I just wanted to say good morning. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Charlene Randall, and I'm Director of Business Development here at L&E Research. Thank you to all of you for being here. We appreciate you joining us on our Taste of Sensory workshop this morning. We appreciate all of you who can make it here in person today, but also we'd like to thank those that are watching remotely through L&E Research's video streaming. We have quite a few people watching today remotely. So for those of you who are here in person, though, I did want to point out to you that if you haven't gotten a chance to see our facility here in St. Louis and you would like to have a tour, including our test kitchen, please, by all means, let us know after the workshop, and we would be happy to show you around. At the end of the workshop, we're going to allow about 10 or 15 minutes for a time of questions and answers. For those of you who are viewing remotely, at that time you will see a chat feature that will show up on the right side of your screen. So that will give you the opportunity to pose your questions. Judy will answer as many questions as time will permit. If we are unable to get to all of the questions, we'll take the questions and the answers and email those out. For those of you who are here in person, though, Judy is kind enough to be remaining after the workshop. So if you would like to talk with her further after the workshop, by all means, we can do that as well. Okay? And then at the very end, last but not least, we will be having a drawing for a complimentary consultation with Judy. And so if you haven't dropped a business card in our basket, let me know, and we'll get that in real quick before the end, and we'll get that drawing. And also, again, to those of you who are viewing remotely, I just wanted to say that your names have actually automatically been entered when you registered. So you have an opportunity to win the consultation as well. So anyway, I'd like to introduce you to our guest speaker, Judy Heylmun with 4 Cents Plus One. Judy is the founder and president of 4 Cents Plus One, a consumer and product research consulting firm. Prior to founding 4 Cents Plus One, Judy consulted with many of the top Fortune 500 consumer packaged group food companies for the past 15 years. Judy's career in the field of sensory evaluation has blended extensive experience in corporate research and development environments for Lifesavers, Pepsi-Cola, and Nabisco brands. She was able to deepen her skills while working in consulting for a broad range of both food and non-food companies, while working at Sensory Spectrum as their vice president of business development. Judy's experience has allowed her to develop strong skills in the areas of product understanding and consumer research, focusing her talents on creating strategies for implementing winning products in the marketplace. And so some of those strategies Judy is going to share with us today. And so without further delay, I bring you Judy Heylmun. Thank you, Judy.
Good morning. Good morning. We're hoping this is on, and hoping I will come up with
Yes, and I'm going to check.
So good morning, everybody calling in and everybody in the room. I see familiar faces and I see a lot of new faces. So thank you for taking time out of your day to come here. A little bit more about me. I am not local. I live in Charlotte, having been born and raised in the Northeast New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And I moved to Charlotte about 5 years ago and started my business there. I have worked with L&E Research over the last couple of years and have developed a relationship with Brett Watkins, because particularly when they started opening their facility in Charlotte, and I think we used that location there. So, sensory. You know, sensory's all around us, right? You're eating your fruit. In the audience, you're paying attention to what we're doing, what we're wearing, everything. So I wanted to bring it into the real life for you as you're doing some concept research. So I called it a taste of sensory because I'm only just going to touch on it. There is so much to do with sensory, but I thought, let's just touch a little bit. And I want to give you some strategy, a process for how you can link concept development with product development. Figures we already know. 98% consumer products fail. All right, we know that. But how can we work to prevent that from happening? And I say that there's 3 key reasons. There are 3 things that we can do to support this. Marketing and messaging, all right, they are one group, and product development are another. And very frequently, they're not working together. Very frequently, they're in silos. So how can we bridge that gap and start working more closely together? And this results in a lack of integration and necessitates a handoff. So when that handoff occurs, and product development has created these products and giving them to the people doing the concept and to test them, they have to teach them about the product, about the features. What is smoothness? What is roughness? What is satiety? What are all these things? And that takes time to understand the properties, features, and benefits. And finally, many clients I see aren't fully engaged in the whole process. And I'm not talking about stage-based process. I'm just talking about teams working together. So the risk is we get a disconnected, misaligned proposition for the product launch, and time and expenses added to the entire project. And I understand those calling in can hear me. Thank you. So here's my solution. Integrate concept design with product design to get yourself a better concept product fit. It can result in faster creation because you don't have to do as much iterative testing. And you can increase likelihood of product launch success. Okay. Everybody has seen this probably. Like I said before, sensory is all around us and it's in the eye of the beholder. So how can we channel that and use that to our advantage? I don't know how many of you looking at this see the young woman, and how many of us see the old woman. Everybody see both? Okay, good. What's this? a bunny, a rabbit. Turn your head to the side. It's a duck. So how we present things influences how people see things. Have we not all been here? I'm a lion, but I'm actually really a kitty. So how an individual presents themselves, represents themselves, interprets themselves, and this all applies to sensory. I wanted to touch on just a little bit about what sensory is for those of you in the audience. Most of you said, oh, I've heard about it, I've dabbled in it, but I'm not a practitioner. I know we've got a couple people in the audience that are practitioners. Let's stand right here. What are the five senses? Okay. Touch, you're right. Sight, taste, smell, and sound. What sensory does is it's a scientific discipline that measures humans' response to the sensory properties of consumer goods as perceived through the five senses. It's as simple as that. Well, where I'm changing it a little bit is our experiences help us select the words to describe the products we're evaluating, right? And our unique differences mean we describe things in our own way. So if I was to give people in this room, pizza, everybody's going to describe the crust differently, the sauce differently, the cheese differently. So our challenge is to have either individuals talk with a common language, same words to describe the same thing, or common words, or understand the differences in how people are describing things and use those unique differences to our advantage. Of course, we all have a great nose, but there are a lot of tools and techniques that we can use when we're using our nose. Sensory has a strong toolbox of proven techniques. You know, it's not the oldest science in the world, you know, from the 40s or so, but we've got a lot of really strong techniques. And I break it up sometimes a little differently. Very often people talk about it as affective testing and objective testing. I like to think about it as who my subjects are. So I break it up by trained judges and consumers. The trained judges measure, is there a difference, what's the difference? Descriptive analysis is an example. You think of a coffee taster, you think of a wine taster. You think of people almost regurgitating back the recipe. Difference testing, many of you might have used it in the market research arena for a triangle test. Do a trio test. The most often used techniques would be then descriptive analysis and discrimination. Consumers, that's the affective part. That's the subjective measurement that sensory is collecting. We do acceptance, preference, and diagnostics, things such as just about right, intensity scores. We do lots and lots of statistics. We do optimization designs. There's a lot of high-level stuff that goes on here. The techniques we use central location tests, home use tests, qualitative research, online research. Again, there's a battery of things. And many of these are in common with the innovations group, with the marketing research group. We just put a little different twist on it. But we all know these. No matter which side of the fence you're on, we all know these, so we can all figure out how we can work together to adapt them. When you do sensory research, it's usually conducted across all phases of the product. Some individuals think, well, I'm only doing it during the development phase. But you do it from the beginning, initial concept testing, fuzzy front-end research, sensory can get involved in, prototype, optimization, final formula, through launch and beyond. So sensory is not focused just in the middle of the process. It is available to provide a lot of dynamic dimensions and interest throughout the process. The other thing to remember, even though this is a series and a battery of tools, it is the sensory research responsibility to make sure we're selecting the right tools to answer the question and that we adapt it to meet the study. Don't think of it as this very firm process, oh, we can't step out of the box. You can. There we go. So there's been a change going on, and I've been in the last worked in silos. And the traditional roles is R&D and product development focused on the product, on creating the creation of the product. Marketing focuses on the proposition, creating the concept, figuring out how to sell it. Sensory primarily works with R&D and product development. Consumer insights, marketing research primarily work with marketing. But over the last several years, this has started shifting. And the product features are becoming more and more and more important when we're trying to sell a product. And it's important that we start to blend them together. So in many companies, sensory and marketing are now working together hand in hand on the team, combining all aspects of the proposition. So what that means is sensory, well, what I'm talking about today is how we can include sensory in qualitative research for initial products. Here's an example of an advertisement. The darker side of butterscotch, but there's a lot of sensory elements in it. We've got pictures of the ingredients, the chocolate, the nuts, because it's a coffee, it's pictures which give you visually telling you the sensory signals of what is in it. So you start to think, what is it going to taste like? Then they start to describe it is crunchy coffee and smooth dark chocolate. So this is sensory. I see it, I read it. I'm getting an impression of what it is and setting an expectation. I then, from the marketing side, start saying, it's evocative, but that's why you're drawn to it in the first place. So this is just an example how sensory is blended in with the concept. Let the people understand how it's going to taste and how it will taste. Now, the example today we're going to be using is smoothies, because there's but all of the stuff I'm talking about can be applied across multiple different categories. So with sensory, product design is combined with concept research tends to be pretty darn powerful. And here are some of our benefits. We uncover the elements of the concept that resonate with the consumer relating to both need states and product expectations. We identify benefits that motivate behaviors as it relates to the product. Uncover sensory cues and resulting benefits signaled along with and the sensory segment. All right, sensory cues. An example, if people are less familiar with it, steam rising out of a cup of coffee suggests it's going to be hot. You're going to a fast food restaurant, and I get my burger, and I touch it, and I feel it, and it's warm. It starts making me think it's fresh, it's made for me. So the sensory signal is the heat and the warmth and the steam, and then what does it signal to my mind about the product? When I'm talking sensory segment, what that is we very often think of demographics, we think of psychographics, we think about all these different segments. Okay, we do our algorithms and some people in the page. Sensory segments are the sensory properties that group people together in liking. Easy one to think about is easy. Chocolate chip cookies. I got my crispy likers, like crispy dry cookies. I got my soft and chewy likers. So those are two segments, and liking varies by texture and everything. So you want to understand the sensory segments because that opens up the possibilities for all the products that you could create. When you do this, you understand the expected sensory properties based on the concept, and you provide guidance on the concept and product enhancements, building sensory cues into the design. We'll pass something out for the audience. What we're doing is we're passing out some smoothies. And there are some papers that are turned underneath. And for the people calling in, hopefully you've got that handout. If you don't mind going to the second page, okay, there is a form there. And that form is what you're just going to fill out while you're sitting here casually sipping on your smoothie. And I didn't ask, as we always do, does anybody have any allergies, sensitivities, or medical concerns to drinking any smoothie? If so, you may refrain. Okay?
They're vegetarian, right? But there's no meat products in them?
I can't answer that question because I don't know.
Okay.
Okay? Commercially available ones. But what you could do, okay, for those of you, what you could do is you could take off the lid and you can, stir it up. I can't imagine, I mean, some of them might have yogurt in them, but I can't imagine that there's, Okay, okay, all right. So what it is, they're all coated with a product label, all right, and this is F, I believe, on this, all right? And there's a box here that says, product, I like this because how to describe what doesn't work even better. So while I'm talking, you can sip and start filling out this form. All right, I'm going to go through a process, and I've got it divided into a 4-step process. You can expand it to a 5-step, a 6-step, or cut it down to a 3-step process. And the process is how we start with the concept, go to the product, and then pull it all together. And I will use the smoothies as the case study. Step 1 would be the concept exploration. Present individuals the concept. Get their feedback on the concept, and for those of you that have done this your whole career, all right? Identify behaviors, benefits, motivators, listen for common threads and unique differences. And there's lots of different ways you can test the concept in qualitative research, and we don't need to go through that, you know, highlighting, crossing off, doing all these different things, rating them. So that's pretty standard. The next step is what I call product learning. As I talked earlier about individuals needing to come up with language to talk about things, we need individuals to develop skills in qualitative sessions to be able to express what the sensory properties are. I love the term rich, but really that doesn't help me say what it is, what the sensory experience is. So the product learning step is really important, and there's many ways you can go through it. Primarily what you do, though, is you give them a warm-up sample, but then also go to the marketplace or go through my prototypes and give them a broad array of products that might fit in this category. So that the individuals participating in the qualitative get to see the array, and at this time you can show some of your prototypes and you talk about it. And that's why I gave you that sheet, because one is talking about why I like it, but then what language are you using to describe it? What doesn't work, because that gives me product development feedback, and then how I could make it even better. And the I like it is get to tie in directly to the concept. And here's where you start getting the language. And as you talk through the samples with the consumers, you start to see what the common words are people are using, and what the words are that you don't understand, so you can explore it and you can probe on it. And that's what I call practice sensory talk, and identify the key attributes. What are the attributes that individuals are talking about that are really critical in this product? Step 3, consumer design lab. Several ways you can approach this. Generally, if it is what it is about showing inspirations and creating ideas. The simplest terms, and that's what we did in the smoothies, I'll show you, but if you were doing something like oatmeal, and I want to create a bunch of different oatmeal, I will have a room set up and I'll have a lot of different types of oatmeal and a lot of different types of grains that I might add to it. And then I might have add-ins that could be things such as raisins, cranberries, nuts, and then I might have different dairy products. And I let people combine and create. I tell them they get to be master chef of the day. And but if you can't create products, you can show them an array of things. If I was doing paper towels, I might have a lot of different paper towels there, and I might have some prototypes. And I break it out by modality. In other words, paper towels, the feel, the look. And I show them things, and they start to point out the most critical attributes of that. And by the way, for those of you, and for the audience, if you're looking, this is what we call, technical term, Rhonda, expectoration cups, layman's term, spit cups. One of the tools of the trade. I always make sure it's veiled. But if you don't like your smoothie as you drink it, you're not going to swallow it. Please don't yourself. Recipe development. I give them ideas for creating have all these things and I say, create a recipe. What would you put together? So then you start to see the important attributes, the important flavors, and you can start to, even if you really wanted to, you could count on how many times certain ingredients were used. And then an assessment. I always have people tell me how much they like something and why, so I can get relative differences. And this is where sensory segmentation comes out. And when we take these smoothies, we will see that there is some sensory segmentation that comes out. And finally, we bring it all together and identify the critical components of both the concept and the product, and then refine them. So it's really basic. It's pretty simple. Sessions are a little longer. I do 3-hour sessions, up to even 4-hour sessions. Give them breaks, and the people eat, they fly through it. The big thing is fatigue, not wearing much money. So, in front of you, again, with those papers and the audience calling in, I gave you the concept. That's a rough concept. Introducing Smoothies to Go, a new product made for on-the-go, health-aware, active women. You lead an active lifestyle and you need a boost to keep you going. These smoothies are for you. They're great tasting, made with real fruits and vegetables, offering the nutritional benefit you desire with the convenience you need. They offer an alternative to fill a void when away from home, found in the frozen food section of the convenience stores. All you need to do is purchase, shake, and go. The perfect smoothies to go. Each smoothie provides 2 servings of fruits or vegetables in less than 200 calories, sold in 16-ounce size in the flavor varieties you like. That includes fried banana, lime spritzer, berry refresher, orange carrot, garden green. Pretty basic. As part of this research, this is the plan I followed. I did some online research. I did the consumer design lab, and I brought it together. The online research was intended to get initial feedback on the concept, the benefits, the sensory expectations, the ingredients, and the preferred flavors. And the reason that was valuable to me is because I was able to say, okay, these flavors aren't going over so well, and people don't like these ingredients so much. So it's not that I want to kick them out, but I want to think about how I want to use it. It also starts to see what language people would be using to talk about this product. In the consumer design lab, talked about the concept, talked about what their sensory expectation is. In other words, when you read this concept, what do you think it's going to taste like? That's really important. What am I delivering to you from a sensory experience? Tasted a bunch of products, fit the concept measure, product design through an array of stimuli. They created their own recipes. And then finally, we talk about concept refinements, the flavors that were most interesting to the people, how we can change them, the ingredients, and the sensory properties. To make a successful product, I want to link the concept with the sensory properties. Purchase intent, not fabulous. Okay? All right. But where's my variety appeal? The berry refresher, was that not surprising? And then the garden greens were less appealing. And then we had some in the middle. What they were telling us is healthy, it's refreshing, it's easy, it's convenient. More likely to purchase in grocery, not convenience and gas. Berries over vegetables. That's just how we put this. Desired features deliver. Offer me the nutritional benefits. I want taste. Convenience is important, and no further preparation. However, when I did the qualitative session, people were doing them at home. I don't mind adding more ice. I don't mind throwing it in my blender and putting a few berries in it. I don't mind doctoring it, but I don't want to stir the blender all the time, and I don't want to make more than I can drink in one session. Sensory product direction that came from the online research is all listed here. And where this is helpful, essentially, I had to explore these areas. What's the difference between smooth, creamy, body, thick, not greedy, or choppy? I want to know what not too sweet is. People can point to me, this isn't too sweet. What's the natural taste to that? Blended flavors, what does that mean? So these are all things that I have got to explore when I'm doing my qualitative about the sensory process. Ingredient direction, these are all the ingredients. And we've got those that can say, oh, like, nice. And then we have those that say, I don't want peanut butter. you know, in smoothies we do, as protein. Ginger didn't hold a lot of appeal. And the vegetables, now is it surprising? No. From there, I went to the consumer design lab. So I was armed with information now to create and design the lab. I've got some areas I want to explore in the consumer design lab, the concept elements and areas of improvement, ingredients consumers indicator appealing, the language, and talk through all these things, and the flavor variety. In discussion, items on the left were the items that were, I like these. You've got a good calorie content for me. It's healthy. I can eat it on the go or at home. They expanded it out. 2 servings of fruits or veggies is really important. What was interesting, people don't necessarily see the or. They want and. Serving size, and that gets to making too much. And what do I do with it? And the serving size is good for on the go, easy prep. So, and here was another one, both a snack or a meal replacement. And the other part, good alternative to a candy bar. So people are looking for something to fulfill their hunger needs, but perhaps the sweetness of it gives them that satisfaction that they get from it. Concern on quality of ingredients, the whole thing about natural. Is it organic, pesticide-free, expiration date, and protein. Protein, great, I want to get my protein. And people are clearly, this is how much protein is going to deliver. And affordable. You are getting, okay. We all tasted sample F. Any notes that people wrote down about sample F?
I didn't like the color.
You didn't like the color. What was wrong with the color?
It just wasn't right.
Wasn't right.
I can't verbalize it.
Good sensory language.
I was impressed with how liquid it was, the liquidity kind of, had a lot of motion to it.
Okay. Other thoughts on it? Any other taste, flavor, anything?
I would describe the flavor as subtle,
Subtle.
like, which to me didn't really match up to the concept that when they use the word like burst or boost or something.
Perfect. Good. Dan, did you have anything to add? Okay. So some of the feedback was refreshing and not typical for this flavor combination. And people talked about, and this is where, if I show you an array, you can say, point to the color. I like this color. Natural color versus medicine. Particles were present. Flavor and texture, strawberry, underripe, apple, orange tart. At the time when I did it, it was thick, liquid, gelatinous, kind of. And you said jiggle.
Yeah.
All right, so look at gelatinous and jiggle. Improve it, and then we got directions for improving it. And someone had said there's that aftertaste, there's that sharpness, there's that orangey citrus character at the end. So how to improve it? So it's fairly well liked, middle of the road, you know. If this was my target, I'd say I could beat this in a heartbeat. You got another, and for the audience, what flavors were in this? I'm going to ask everybody here, what flavors were in this? Carrot? Orange, there's orange, yeah. Strawberry, orange, banana flavor. Not enough banana. So when you start calling it strawberry, orange, I'm going to give you a strawberry, orange, banana smoothie, and if you're not tasting the banana, how can I call it that? So sometimes what results out of this is you have to name things differently. You've got another one in front of you. Oh, okay, we're going to go to N. The green one. This is like the green-eyed monster. You don't have to write notes on this, but I just wanted you to get an experience that I give worksheets to people to write their notes on because I want them to refer back to it. Go ahead, just try it. I swear it won't bite. Yeah, you know, I didn't get one. They're not giving me any. The other thing is I believe the moderator or the facilitator should always be tasting it to people. always be experiencing. Because then you know, and by the time I do this, I was leaving. But, okay, when you looked at it, you looked at this, right? You're like, did you get a little afraid? I saw everybody here a little afraid. But, it really tasted more like this. It was better tasting. So you're tasting with your eyes. So how can we get around that? I don't have that answer. So my initial expectation, dull green, gray color, thick and dense, unappealing, earthy green celery, thin, watery, improved by throwing it away. Okay. All right. It was described by some people as baby food. The expectation, it was a surprise. Flavor of apple, pineapple, and mango must be sweetened naturally. Even better if less chalky with a creamier texture. So this was a learning experience for the people in the group, and it was a learning experience for you. And I'll tell you, you can go out and you can try a bunch of different ones, and they're for you. All right, you've got another one. Oh, and these were the flavors that were in it. Apple, pineapple, banana, kiwi, mango, broccoli, spinach, parsley. So that's a lot of ingredients. Yeah, now after reading that, I can go back and taste it again. All right, now I'm going to have you go to R. So it's calling in. R is a light pale. What color would you describe that? Beige. Yeah, it looks like, you know, that antique white you put on your wall. But, you know, people describing things as an antique white color, we know we can use that. That's perfect. Chalky. This is an example of chalky. So that's why stimuli I show people I want to have specific sensory features, properties. So I can say, they can put, this is chalky. And then you can dial it back, and then they can say, okay, this is how much chalk I can accept. Yeah. Appearance, dull, nondescript, boring, pale, unable to discern the flavor, also the flavor, not this. Oh, you can't tell what the flavor is by looking at it. Flavor and texture. Pleasant flavor. I don't know if you agree with that. But it had chalky mouth coating. Improved by eliminating the chalky mouth coating. Okay. So this is what a protein shake is like. This is protein. But that's why you want protein. Right, and that's just it. There's people say, I don't have protein in my shake. But I may not be able to deliver a product that's got protein in my shake. This has apple, banana, orange, pineapple, whey, and coconut. You got one last one, G. And the next one is like,
Really don't get asked that question a lot.
observation, this is what I expect. Isn't it?
I was thinking that this is what I make at home. Yes, like what I make at home.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, appearance. Super thick and icy, visible specks, looks healthy, good color. So this is a good target for us. Flavor and texture, a wow flavor with strawberry. Texture is too thick when we tested it, and slightly chalky. And this was a disconnect when icy particles melted down. When it starts to be thick, it's like ice cream. If I can stand my spoon up in it, it's not going to be as healthy as it could be. So that's another sensory signal. Improve by reducing the amount of seeds. A lot of people complaining that that's something that consumers hate to breathe. Flavors in this one had yogurt. Strawberries, yogurt, milk, and banana. So what I did is I showed you an array. I started to develop language. I started to find out what you liked and what you didn't like. And this is where you have to be pretty agile in this thing. Because if people are reacting one way, and that's, you've got to adjust your back room a little bit. All right, so what we did is we said, I brought out all of these ingredients. Okay? And I had individuals create their own creation. There's another sheet attached, the last one. And these were all the ingredients. So what I had them do is check off what they wanted to put together. And then they went to design their own. And here, for example, if we were to use the kitchen here, we can have the people go into the kitchen or they've got the capabilities. We had blenders, and they just made their own, and then they tasted them, and we filled out forms, and we talked about them. The product that I'm giving you, that she just brought you was one of the creations. Can you give me one of those, Judy? Thank you. This was one of the creations that they came up with. Now, you can do this as an iterative process, so they're in there today, and they're making these, and they go home tonight, and they think about it and come back and give them more. Or product development now is armed with ideas. That's icy. This was safe to eat. This is everything that was in it. Frozen cherries, green grapes, raspberries comes out, doesn't it? Honey for sweetness, wild cherry juice, soy milk, and crushed ice. You may or may not like it. And that's the thing, when people are creating them, they may not be good final products, but they give you ideas of ingredients that people are looking at.
So Judy, was this one that someone had created?
Yes. Yeah. We had some really bad ones, I'll tell you.
How many used oregano?
Nobody. Nobody.
All that on the list.
Yeah, and I had forgotten to buy mint, because they were, we have mint. That was our going. Okay, so the critical component blending, what ingredients to add? So what we did is I was able to categorize the ingredients into 5 different buckets, okay? And it starts to say, from a concept development point of view, what can I pull from it, okay? The fruit, good for me. The milk, okay, which separate from the yogurt. That was a sensory stimulation. Not everybody wanted yogurt. The milk adds body, flavor, and texture. It blends the color. It gives me, so it's a nutritional benefit from the milk. The honey and the whey, natural sweetness, meal replacement, when I start adding those. The yogurt adds body. It also can add that sour flavor. It adds protein. And then finally, the vegetables need to be tried. A little bit goes a long way. So if you're marketing it, you've got to say a hit, or, that's why if you look at some of the names, green got it, or how you follow put the signal in the concept that it's more than just green. As a result, we looked at the original concept, we looked at changes, and some potential changes are, it's for busy, active women. Each variety is made especially for you. The taste of fresh fruits and vegetables delivered with a smooth and creamy texture. Keeps you satisfied, whether at home or when you're away from home. You can sell it in more than you can for you. Well, a lot of people say, this is the type of thing I would use in at home. And a lot of people said, I want to buy a big box for it. So you've got to think from a marketing point of view, is that what you want to see? And then add protein. From the flavor varieties, the carrots, we tried carrots, they didn't work. You got to do carrot juice. So we dropped that from the line. And start to talk about, well, how could you call it? What could you put in the concept to define it better? So that it would resonate with people. That was that. Okay. Again, it's something that fits with a lot of different product categories. It's done with a lot of different product categories when you're bringing the concept work in with the sense of work. The big thing is being agile. One of the hot words these days, right? Being able to be flexible and think in advance. You've got to think about the products differently. Think about them as individual components. What do people want to look at? What do people want to take? What kind of texture they want? Don't think of it as the whole thing. Break it apart. It's really optimization viewed from multiple dimensions, understanding the segments, and applying so you can apply. We are done. Questions? Charlene? Questions in the morning. Yeah.
Instructions you give to your respondents when they come in. Should they come in hungry? Well, how much food should they consume in advance?
Okay. For those calling in, the question is, what kind of instructions do I give to respondents before they come in? If I know they're going to be eating a lot, I will tell them, they all know, you're going to be eating blah, 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 blah. So come prepared. Obvious things would be no tobacco, no coffee a half hour before, no perfume, because I will kick people out if they have had some of those things, okay? I let them know that it is a tasting session. Certainly at certain times of the day, end of the day, I have snacks out front for people to munch on before they come in, because it might be an hour before they can eat anything. But I don't want them coming in really full, because then they can't eat. Okay?
And if it's because I've been eating all morning and I wasn't particularly interested.
Exactly. Yeah, so we've got to sell them on the idea that they're coming to be chefs or they're coming to be creators.
And Judy, if we could just remind all of those who are watching remotely, your chat feature should be up on the right side of your screen, so if you have any questions, please go ahead and post those now. Okay.
How does this information you collect relate to packaging? I know one thing that packaging gets a lot of sensory data as well.
Yeah, I didn't focus on that here, but I did naturally collect information about packaging, things like shape of bottle, all of that. So I've done it where I've had all packaging elements. One of the modules in the session was looking at different packaging, so that you can get the same thing and then also give them things to create their own.
With the smoothies, for example, what kind of feedback did you get about packaging?
Well, I got feedback about easy open, easy drink, fit in hand. There was less about, but one of the feedback was I want to be able to see what it is, because that's feedback we always get on packaging anyhow.
Sure.
Okay. So because I did not specifically go after it, I wasn't looking for it. But you can get that. And there's other ways to collect that kind of information too. People homework assignments or, I will go out of the box. I did something recently and I went and got some really odd shaped packages and said, how does this make you feel? What would be the advantages of it? Could you see it and things such as you stick my cup over? Yeah. Yeah, but the other thing, perfume bottles, the shape says it's going to be rich, or the shape says it's high quality.
Judy, we do have another question. Good morning. It's from Kathy, and the question is, how do you recruit people who tend to be more creative?
That's all of our challenge. Oh, yeah, the question is, how do you recruit people that are more creative? Ask them. One-on-one interviews with them. I give them some certain question in the screener, describe this, describe that, and if people say, oh, it's good, nothing works. I'm trying to think of something. the difference between, two products. I'll ask them, what's the difference between two products that are obviously different? And they don't come up with anything, then I know that they're not really good, okay? Then I also, when they come in, I will have conversations with them, because I always over-recruit. Okay? Mm-hmm.
Do you always let people come up with the words on their own, or do you sometimes give a list of words that they could use if they need a little assistance?
Yes, I always prefer to let them generate, and if they're not going to where I want them to go, or I want to learn about certain words, I might do something like, oh, someone in one group use this word, what do you think about it? The other thing I do, and this is where you get more words, could you help me understand that more? If someone said to me it was shaped like Jell-O, I say, well, could you explain that more so that I can expand out the language?
Do you find the respondents' appreciation being different if you give them this exercise to mix these things together? If they see the ingredients and they put it in a blender versus giving them a cup.
Okay, the question, let me see if I understand it. One, you said the appreciation of respondents. So how do they react by really creating their own versus me giving them? Okay. You need to have them experience something, this is what I believe, before they can create something. Okay? Because otherwise I'm going to go too broad. If I said make a smoothie and I didn't give them any direction of what I wanted, they might have a little hard time. You are always going to get people that are playing. You always get people playing. So what I do is I remind them, read the concept. These are my rules. I might do rules or constraints such as no more than 5 ingredients. You must pick one from column A, column B, and column C, so that I can structure it as much as I want or as little as I want. And they love it. They just love putting things together. That answer?
Well, I'm just thinking, would I like it more if I got a piece of blueberries that I was putting in versus if you gave me the exact same thing that was already blended up?
I don't know what everybody else's experience is. Usually when the people come in, they're pretty trusting. And if I say it's got blueberries, they believe that it's blueberries. But if I give them one of these and say, this one they might believe there's blueberries in, but if I gave them that green one, that's going to be a hard reach for them to believe that. Yes?
Judy, what's the typical sample size?
One of the favorite typical sample size is what we were being asked. One of the favorite sensory responses is it depends. Okay? And I'm going to say it kind of depends where you are in the project phase, how developed the product is. I'm also going to say that depends how much money you have. Okay, so given that, we would usually do anywhere from 2 to 4 groups. Okay? Because it also depends if I want a group of men and a group of women and I want a group of this type of thing. I always like to repeat at least one of them to see. And it's really a lot of times if you look at the budgets that product development has for their research versus the budgets that other departments have, we have to fit it. So then very often with marketing kicking in, I did 6 of them not too long ago.
Now, when you said that, my question, I thought you meant I
usually, because sometimes I do them iteratively. Okay, you're here today, I'm going to have you back next week and the week after. So what I usually will do is work, if I'm doing that, work with more people. But I usually have about 8 in a session.
And then what about, Andrea's question, which is a good one, like how is this like a standard amount, like what's the amount?
Yeah, we pretty much follow the pretty standard sensory serving sizes. Okay, all right, that said, I might, put bowls of things in front to see how much people are munching on. I'm looking at bottles and soup. Because what you will find, the first one, it goes down. Second one, it goes down. Third one, fourth one, do I have to? So I say to them, pace yourself. You're going to be eating blah, 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 blah.
you rotate the,
I always rotate everything. And if I've got, sometimes I might have 12, 14 samples, and you can't look at them in a session, you want to do 6. I rotate them by group, but making sure that every sample is seen by at least 2 groups.
When you're doing the field do you use a lot of scale?
Question is, do I use sensory scale? You could not be a sensory person without using scale. But we want to remember it's qualitative. So if I'm collecting some quantitative information, and always with a big caution, I will use different types of scales. I might use a purchase intent, I might use a liking, I might use bullseyes, or I might use relative differences. Because when I do this, I actually have people come up with anchors. So if I wanted, this is where I love this. If thickness was one of the primary key dimensions, which you would think it might be a this, and I would say, what are we calling this end of the scale? What are we calling this end of the scale? Now I want you to place on the scale where these are in thickness. Now I want you to tell me which ones you like.
Yeah. I'm curious about the deliverables from the study. It looks like we started with a concept statement and some ideas about flavor. Is the output a revised statement?
Yes.
And some guidance on flavor?
Yes. The output, because usually they're joint projects with the marketing team and the product development team, and we sit down and talk afterwards. We have all these debriefs. What's working in the concept? What isn't? Let us refine it. And even after I've done a couple of them, let's say there's 6, we might revise the concept and put it out there. I've done this enough to know that too often I've shown the concept, we've looked at the product, and they are like this. And that's the whole thing, is we want to walk away so that they're matching better. And then I give clear direction for product.
They're both variables. In other words,
Yes.
you're not trying to deliver a product that matches with the concept.
Okay.
You're open to changing the concept
Yes,
as well as create different products.
yes.
Okay.
And I have had clients, because of it, say, we are not going forward with that concept anymore, because I have learned more about how it is not a good concept than I ever imagined. So that's why it's powerful. Any other questions? Anything from the audience? No. If there's nothing more.
Shall we go ahead and have our drawing then?
Sure.
Okay, great. So we have business cards and names in here for all that are here in person as well as those viewing remotely. So we're going to have our drawing for a complimentary consultation with Judy. So, and if you haven't met Lindsay already, Lindsay Marsden is one of our account managers.
Hello.
So Lindsay's,
Good morning.
Lindsay's going to be our... Lindsay just found a really lousy excuse to take a vacation for a while.
I did, yes, I know.
You might be able to guess what it is, I don't know, but anyway, she is going to be, we're going to be Vanna up here and pulling a card for name.
I'll do the honors.
Okay. And we've got, oops, wait a minute.
Oh.
Is on this side?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad we're in charge.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it took 2 of us to figure it out, but yes, okay, so
Scott-wise.
Scott Wise. Oh, great, Scott. Congratulations, Scott. Thank you so much. Well, if all the questions are finished, that concludes our workshop today. And again, thank you so much for coming to a Taste of Sensory workshop. So have a great afternoon, and those of you who are here in person, if you'd like to have a tour, we're going to go ahead and start doing that.
Tour and
Yeah.
just hang out.
And Judy will be hanging out to talk more. Great. Thanks so much. Thank you.